Given an organization going through a transformation, wants to hire some new leadership, would you recommend a culture fix or a culture fit? How long have you seen a position stay vacant just because of culture fit? What's the longest
Six to
period?
8 months. 6 to 8
Six to
months.
eight months? Do teams have luxury to do that? The manager continuously is rejecting every candidate in the name of a culture fit or a culture fix. What would you recommend that manager? What is more important, potential or past performance?
Potential. It is the potential of the person who will drive his performance. The one question that I always ask is, why do you want to join this company? Sometimes they just say, because I need a job. One piece of advice is that if you are getting rejected, don't get disappointed or disheartened. There is something which is not because of you.
Welcome to a new podcast. This podcast is going to be very different. First of all, it's more like a ladies special. And we three are from different field altogether. Like Krati is from the data analysis and, she does a lot of strategy. I have been from sales. And in corporate, we can call them our best friends. We can call them, go to people that whenever we are in trouble, we try to go to this department, and that's called the HR. So we have Neha from HR. She comes with 19 years of work ex, and she has brilliant expertise in knowing the other side of HR. Like, for example, many times we think that HR is only good for Rangoli. They don't have spine. But when I started interacting with Neha, that was a different feel altogether. It's too much of work on the other side, and it is so nice to know the other side story from Neha. So, Krati, I would really request you to say some more words for Neha and set the base for the podcast.
So thanks, Monica. I think that was a very warm and lovely welcome. I have been in HR for 4 years and I know that a lot goes behind the scenes. And I think without much ado, we should welcome our guest, Neha, for today. Hi, Neha. How are you?
Hey, hi Krati, hi Monica. I'm doing good, and thank you for the lovely introduction. That was really nice.
And we are feeling so good to have you.
So Neha, let's get right into it. I was going through your LinkedIn profile, right? And it states that you are an AGM in HR domain. Now, what is something that they would completely miss about how you get to where you are? So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Okay, so it's AGM. It looks fancy, while it is not so easy to reach there. It's a journey that I have traveled a long way, because HR is typically people's person, and being into human side of the people, right? You cannot please and keep everyone happy. So I started 19 years back with recruitment. I was a hardcore IT recruiter. Then I used to recruit different level of people. So I started with IT hiring, then moved into leadership hiring, wherein I had to deal with people at a CXO level or a head level or a delivery heads. So did that leadership hiring for a bit of. Then since I was working with leaders, I was very comfortable working with leaders, and that got built in a different level of trust and confidence, which I myself never knew that what I can reach that milestone. So yes, definitely I was blessed with good mentors. The CTO who I hired eventually found some spark in me. Then he moved me into compensation and benefits and HR operations, and gradually into performance management. And then by then, most of the leaders had trust in me, and that's how I grew to people management, leading then to mergers and acquisitions as well. So most of the confidential bit into people side of HR is with me. So I don't know whether I should be people's person or I should be not a people's person, because everybody wants to be friends with me, because eventually it is your compensation and benefits. So people would always want to know what is other getting paid more than me or not. So they try to figure out what are others getting. So that's where they want to be friends with me. Nevertheless, I am anyways friends, but that's the flip side of the HR.
Okay,
Wow.
and Kriti, I would like to add one thing more. It's been like 3 to 4 years that I know Neha, And then she has this corporate background with her. She has that kind of work experience and expertise in this particular topic. But then also she is too much inclined towards spirituality. I thought I'll just get this topic here with this stressful job that really, what I understand, that these practices, they make you little calmer and more productive. That's what I understand. So there's another side of Neha as well. Yeah, please continue.
Do you want to say something about that, Neha, about your spiritual journey and how it really helps you? Because, like you said, being a people's person, being in the center of where everybody has the most high stakes questions sorted for you, does spirituality really help you there?
So yes, thank you for bringing that point, Monica. It is really important to understand the spiritual aspect. The reason being, you are surrounded with people. Sometimes you deal with emotions, sometimes tough emotions, sometimes easy emotions. And when people come to HR, they're either hurt or not happy with something. That's where they come and express their grievances to HR, right? And we being into HR, we have to be, while we understand sometimes they may be right, sometimes they may not be right, but eventually there's no right or wrong. It's the organization that runs the management decisions that we have to all follow. So that's where it becomes difficult to help them understand, but you have to be very patient. You also have to deal with those emotions. Sometimes they will also point fingers to you that you are not doing anything about it, but you are helpless, you cannot go and tell them. Having said this, you have to take those hard emotions on you. So that time spiritually really helps you, spirituality, to balance out those emotions, make you calmer to deal with those situations, helps you be empathetic towards the person and explain them how and what is helping them, in why this certain things are like this and why there cannot be certain changes. So that's where spirituality plays a big role, that you need to, it needs to help you calm yourself, your own self. It helps you stay away from negative emotions, because hurt people. It said
Yeah.
that. So when hurt people comes to you, you have to not hurt them, but make them at least a little happy, or a little come out of their sadistic part and make them little comfortable, so that they are not hurting others as again.
Yeah. No, I think I totally resonate with that. Most of the people come to HR when they have not a great experience or something like that, right? So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, this question is coming from from perspective where we sit for an interview, and as an participant in that interview, and we really don't know what's happening on the other side, and we really can't catch hold of the person and ask that how was the interview, what did you said that you will get back to me, what did it mean, because this podcast would be heard by many people who are aspiring to look for a job, and if this could actually help them and give them some understanding that this kind of body language, this kind of answers or questions means or leads to this kind of uh, conclusions, so that would be really helpful for them.
Okay, so first thing first is, Monica, to answer you, recruitment is a two-way street. Okay, candidates often focus on impressing the company, while the hiring managers also focus on impressing the candidate so that he gets onboarded. If the candidate is right fitment during the interview, right? So if the person is technically sound, if the person is right, a game changer or an innovative thinker, or exactly meeting my requirement, in that case the hiring manager is also selling that, okay, look, join us and come, you'll get XYZ. Same for candidate. Candidate also try to impress the company, the hiring manager, because he also wants the job in that particular company. So that is point number one. Point number two is, like, when you are on the recruiter side, right? And if you say you get back to me, so possibly there could be a competition. Possibly there is a glitch that something is fishy. That's where the hiring manager put on hold. So maybe during the interview, you possibly may have given polished answers, so they want time to evaluate. While there could be some pool of candidates who are couple of things. So if the resource requirement is immediate and you are not immediately available, but the other person is immediately available, and my some IT companies typically work on a billing model. So my billing gets started because of the hiring.
Mhm.
So that's where they say we'll get back to you. So that is possible. Another thing to fit is the culture fit, right? If you come from a different, you work in a startups, and mine is a pretty stable organization or a compliance driven organization, so I may feel that okay, possibly let me evaluate some more people. If I don't get, then I have a backup plan. So that could be possible. And often rejection does not mean that you are not selected, you're not fit for the role. There could be various reasons for rejection. Often people feel I did not get through. Is it, am I worth or not? Is something,
Mm.
what did go wrong in the interview? Right?
Right.
It is not always that you are wrong. It could be possible that could be a culture misalignment. It could be possible there is someone who is early joiner. It could be possible there is someone who's with my same skill, everything same, could be at a lower cost. There could be multiple factors for rejection, not because you have not performed well or you have outperformed and then also you not get got selected. So it doesn't mean that you dishearten or get disappointed because of the rejection.
Well, I mean, Neha, this answer is so much resonating and relaxing at the same time, because most of the time, in fact, when I was giving interviews, Krati, you would also agree with this, that when we were giving interviews, most of the time, as you said it right, Neha, that we feel belittled, we think that we are not enough. There must be some problem with us. Maybe we don't qualify this much. Now I feel like, no, it's okay. I definitely, maybe I was not the fit for that particular profile, but that doesn't have to mean that I was not good. I was not good enough. I don't know few things. I'm not smart. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, Kriti.
I also totally agree. I think it was a trip down the memory lane, and thank you for sharing that, Neha. But I'm more curious around sort of the culture fit and what is meant by culture fit.
Okay.
Mm.
Uh, Let me simplify culture fit for you. When we say culture fit, what exactly you mean, right? So, culture of the company, the values, right? The fitment of a particular candidate to that culture. So, let's start with the early banking culture. Banking culture starts with 9 to 6 kind of. We all know, we've seen that. People go to the banks at early morning, and that's how the bank culture is. Bank culture, if you again see, it's a very formal culture, you're properly formally dressed, right? A white shirt or a trouser properly and all. Coming to the IT industries culture, if you see, there are different companies have different cultures. Again, I'll go
Mm.
by dress codes itself so that understand why culture fit and culture fix. Some of the companies, you see people wearing in jeans and they're walking off with
Yeah.
t-shirts, right? Because they're not customer facing. Possibly yes, they are just on the calls, so doesn't matter to them what they wear. And then again, with US IT companies, evening shift starts, so they're not early risers, right? So
Mm.
that's the culture that okay, you start late, you end late, right? And I can be of myself, I can wear anything because I'm just on the calls and behind the camera, so doesn't really
Mm.
matter. So that's a culture of two different type of industries, IT versus banking. So there could be many different like industry wise the culture also varies, and within the industry also the culture varies because of your client domain. Like if even in IT companies, some of, like in my past organization I worked with, Atos, most of the clients were government banks. So again, it was not a IT sort of a culture, it was a mixed culture. So people
Mm.
facing the customers were very professionally well dressed with a jacket and all, but people working in the back end support, they can be their own. So it doesn't really matter a dress code policy for them. So that's where organization, when they hire, they also see whether this person is coming from what background. To further simplify it, a person marrying from a nuclear family to a joint family or a vice versa. So, how difficult or easy for the person to adjust in the opposite culture?
And exploring more on that. Um, Now, culture is typically things that are written in the book, like some of the things that you mentioned, right? So timings and your wearing and how you need to be at office, or some moral grounds would be written. But when a hiring manager is looking at a candidate and really looking for whether they fit in the culture, I think they would look for a lot of things beyond just the things that you mentioned right now. Is there a rule book that they go against, or it's more gut driven from a hiring manager perspective?
Uh, Again, good question, Krati. It's a very difficult question, but I'll try to simplify and answer it. So, for a hiring manager, again, it depends on the company and the position, right? For a startup, the hiring manager would see that, okay, how soon I can fit the position. There'll be no rule book, right? But for a stable organization or a compliance driven organization, there will be a rule book that, okay, the person has to clear the background verification pre hiring, right? For example, right, basic checks, at least criminal ID, need to be completed before hiring. There would be a rule book that the person has to be certain percentage in their graduation or 12th. If you see earlier days, Tata was always known that, okay, only first class, if you have a first class, only then you can apply with
Mhm.
Tatas, right?
Yeah.
Some of the companies, Infosys and all, there was a cutoff of percentage also. While some are going away with these percentages now, but still there was a rule book, and there is still a rule book with some of the organizations. But it purely depends on the company and the need of the position. Like if you have a project and you know that you don't have a choice, but you have to start and hire people, then the rule book will change. It will evolve
Yeah.
as per the need of the business,
Agreed.
because
Okay.
eventually everything is driven, and you need to, being into HR also, you need to be aligning with business, and that's where the business partner uh, nowadays are very the buzzword and the very popular term in the HR world, that okay, you connect with your business partner, because business partner would understand the business, and basis that they will create their rule books every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you also touched upon previously was that, even within a same organization, sometimes the culture can be different. Like it can be sometimes when a hiring manager is looking at it, he could actually think about how I've built my team, how we really work with each other. Like it could be a very supportive environment for each other. And then you get in somebody from outside who is, more of an individual player rather than a team player. So that culture fit becomes really important for him to actually think about. Um, so
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing that, Neha. I have one follow-up question, which is, in your experience, have you ever seen an example of where somebody was a misfit, but you still hired them, but they turned out to be a real good star?
So what happens is when there are volume hirings, right? Often misfit gets hired that time. We don't really check like whether the person is a fitment or 100% fitment or not. Even if we get a 50% closest match is when the recruiter closes the position. The reason being, I'll give you a simple example. When I was hiring in my early days careers, it was a startup. So the we had to grow by 3x. When you say 3x hiring, where would you get this talent pool from? Right. So
Yeah.
that is a time when we see that okay, what best we can do to close on these numbers. And that time it's only the number pressure and the number game that is on your mind, because you have to close those numbers to scale your business. So what
Hmm.
had happened is in my those early days, we had to hire and close on some positions into our spend analysis function. We were not getting exactly the right fitment. So what I few worked out with the hiring manager is, let's do 10 is to 2 ratio. Like we hire 8 from the industry and experts and explore 2 people as freshers, some management graduates, and give it a try. So
Right.
we did that exercise, and eventually we just took that risk. And though they were not in the filter, they were absolutely new to the industry with zero knowledge, zero experience, completely misaligned. But we took that chance, we hired them. And eventually they turned out to be the star performers. And that's where then the management and the hiring manager and the entire head of the department, we brainstormed, and we decided then way forward what we should do is we should have this ratio of 10 is to 2, and then we should hire 2 freshers versus 8 experience, and then look at their perspectives. So that's where I think it will help you understand how the culture fit also turns out sometimes to be a blessing in disguise.
Right.
We could scale up the numbers, and we could come up with new perspectives also, because industry experts come with a fixated mindset, while the
Yeah.
freshers come with an open mindset. So and they're able to explore everything and anything. So they come up with innovative solutions also. While the fixated mindset, they know that okay, this is my job, so I will figure out only this much of analysis. So that's how it also brings in a perspective change. It brings in a different altogether angle to the hiring.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the examples that I could relate to the misfit or culture alignment, wherein they don't exactly fit in the culture, but we still hire them.
Actually, you've kind of covered sort of my next question on this, because I was going to ask you around the flip side of it. So, what you had there, I think, Neha, was a very good balance between, and you were able to strike that with the percentage of distribution between sort of, fresh hires or management graduates and the learned and experienced hires as well. So, and do you think, sometimes the culture fix is also good, and if yes, then where would you deploy that culture fix strategy?
So, see, again, it's a risk that you are taking, but it's a calculated risk that you are taking to hire such people or not aligned to the culture and everything. But having said this, uh, again, we have baby bloomers, we have Gen X, we have Gen Zs, right? So,
Yeah.
different people align to different cultures. You never know what changes in someone's personal life or a professional life, which could be a game changer and aligned to the culture and values. So that's where I see a fix helps many a times,
Hmm.
because you have to
Okay.
eventually. So for someone it is a bread and a butter, whilst for someone it is a exploration to their careers, and for someone it's a mid-career professional. For example, it's for them climbing up the ladder. So if I don't adapt to changes now, it is never.
Hmm. Given an organization which is going through a transformation and wants to hire some new leadership, would you recommend a culture fix or a culture fit?
I would recommend at a leadership level of fix. The reason being, the people below are already in the fitted culture, right? Because they are already in that culture. So a new person at a leadership level can bring a lot of change, and any change is top down approach, right?
Hmm.
So, and change is not an easy to accept for anybody. It's a disruption to your and it's disruption to your comfort zone. So top down approach is always good if you want to bring in the change.
I have one more question. Okay. Let's say you are recruiting for a role and the manager continuously is rejecting every candidate that you send their way in the name of a culture fit or a culture fix kind of a scenario. What do you what would you recommend that manager? What would be your guidance to them?
First and foremost, Akriti, I have seen in my experience sometimes the manager also rejects many for many reasons. It's for their own insecurities, or at times they were so fixated in their mindset that one rotten apple can spoil everything. So they don't want to have a wrong hire. And in that, what I can say, in that desire to have a right hire, you keep on rejecting good people,
Yeah.
right? So my view to those managers would be, yeah, you were also given a chance by someone. So sometimes just give a chance to the person who you may feel that is not a fit, but give it a chance. You never know, that could turn out to be an asset for your organization. And you don't have to be always 100% perfect. Sometimes imperfection also leads to perfections. So let's give that chance to someone else as well.
I
Uh,
agree.
but Nia, I have a question. So, and a very beautiful topic which we are exploring right now. Culture fit and fix. Many people, many managers, when they are hiring, they are not open minded like you. Okay, what are their points of taking people only for the same industry from the same culture? When I say culture, I'm talking about the office culture. What are their probably pointers, and they try to convince you? Because I'm sure HR is open, but managers and the business holders, they might be having their own set of views. So anything peculiar you have come across till now? I hope you got my question.
Yes, Monica, if I understand it correctly, you're trying to understand like if a hiring manager has a
Right.
fixed mindset to hire a particular person with a particular skill set and the fitment,
Right.
and that's what they keep looking out. So why that, and what would be the advice to them,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Thank you so
Instead
much
of
for
being
understanding.
open.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I have seen many managers. So, to your question, Monica, precisely what happens is if you are a manager, you are accountable for something, right? You are holding a bigger position and the responsibility. While
Absolutely.
you have that accountability, you would never want that because of you a mishire can come into place, or because of you something goes wrong. And that's
Hmm.
where these managers, uh, it's like as good as investing in stocks, how much risk you want to take on a person.
Right, right.
Right? So if I have to rate these managers are not bad or wrong. They are also right. They are just trying to see that how they are aligning to organization rather than taking the risk, how you are trying to find the right fit at first only. So it's hiring right fitment at the first time only. First thing first.
Absolutely, and I kind of agree to what you were saying is that they also carry that kind of responsibility over their shoulders where they have to be performance oriented, and they would not like to waste time in training a person and getting fixed into that environment and then expecting him or her to perform. I completely get it. I mean, that's a very valid point which you have raised, but many a times, as you said, that the other person should try, give it a chance, and the person who's giving an interview also looks forward, please give me a chance, I will prove myself. I know it's a very fixed situation. Both the sides, they want something really good for at least individual selves, but and the on the other side, the manager who's interviewing, his responsibility is more on a larger scale, no? Company is also involved in that. So I completely get it. Yeah, Kriti.
So now I'm trying to move towards a candidate point of view. And when I'm a candidate and I'm applying for a job, there is usually a page, careers page, which has some amazing snippets around what their culture is, what to expect if you join the company, what is the company known for. So there's a lot of sort of employee value proposition stuff which is on there. Now, is that usually enough, or is there further some ways in which the organizations can help, or a recruiter can help a candidate know about the culture up front so that they can also assess whether they're a good fit, whether the organization is a good fit for them or not?
Uh, it's a again a difficult question, Krati. But even in the same company, like I said, different teams have different cultures. While the overall organization culture would remain at a high level and play a key role, but the culture within the team, right? It depends also on the leader to leader. For example, I'll give you an organization has certain values listed, rule books, everything is good
Mm.
enough. But my manager is, say, for example, a micromanager versus the other leader who gives a leeway that this is the work. Now you do in 5 hours, you do in 8 hours, or you did in one day, you didn't do it in 2 days. I need this get job done by X time. That's it, right? While the other person is okay, how far have you reached? Okay, is it done 50%? Can we review it? So again, it's a culture, right?
Yeah.
This you cannot find out anywhere written. The only way to find out this is to get somebody from the team known, or if you're getting hired by reference, figure out from your friends, colleagues, or ex-employees that how is this team manager performing. People don't leave the companies just because of the organization. They often leave because of their surrounding within the same team. For
Yeah.
example, if I have people, 5 people in my team, how do I treat? Am I biased towards one person, or all my 5 members are equal for me? This part depends purely on the leadership, on the leader of that function, or a manager of that particular division.
And again, as a candidate, how can I prepare myself for making sure that if it's an organization that I'm really looking forward to joining, the role is a really good fit, then how can I prepare myself for making sure that I tick the culture
So
checkbox.
you can try to find out references from LinkedIn. Try to find out if any references in the same company, so that you can
Mhm.
find out the background about the team, about the manager, and that's the only way to find out. There is no other way to find out the culture within the organization.
And as a candidate, is there any questions that I can ask or I should ask my hiring manager to ensure that
You
I'm
should definitely
right?
ask. You should definitely ask about the role that you are going to play, the work timings, the expectations, like okay, your availability expectations, what or how much and when. Like for example, some companies have standby policy. So even on festive days, you need to be on standby because the role demands that, not because the company wants to you to be on standby. But your role is such critical that you need to be on standby. So if it is standby, how many hours on a festive day? Is it a particular time that you want me to be available? So
Yeah.
these are the questions the candidate should ask when they are applying for a role, and which role they are applying, how critical is that role, how many people are working in that role, do they have a backup? So if the person is hired for X role and he wants to take leave, is there someone who can take care of his role in his absence?
And who is the best person to ask these questions, like the hiring manager or the recruiter?
So recruiter is easy because you deal with recruiters, so you can ask the recruiters will get the right answer. Not always the hiring manager is hiring for the same team. The hiring
Hmm.
manager can be interviewing for different teams.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Thank you so much. I think lots of value nuggets there. So thank you for sharing that with us, Neha.
Only one thing I wanted to ask and get enlightened by Neha is that you said you can ask questions while during the interview. Do you think it's a good sign the other person doesn't feel offended, the hiring manager or the person whoever is interviewing? Is it okay if we ask question and a question as in logical questions pertaining to the positioning or regarding the job profile? What do you think, Neha?
So I'll ask you with a counter. Why should you not ask these questions? Right?
Mm.
It's like a marriage. You're getting into a relation, or you're getting into a company. You are also having your career at stake, right? You're choosing the company to make your career. So you have every right to ask the question. And why should the person feel offended if the questions are right? Right? Right or wrong, we are not here to judge. But I need to have clarity before I make a decision,
That's
irrespective
too much.
of
That's
that.
really nice. Yeah, I mean, to all the people who are listening, at least I used to think, being sober, being quiet, not asking too many questions, and being at the best of yourself. But Neha has actually told us and rather have given some insight that asking a question is definitely you entering a relationship which is going to be a long-term relationship, and to make it better it's always to know the other side. And thank you so much, Neha. Yeah,
Not
Kriti.
asking also sometimes may mean that you are so dumb that you're not asking anything.
Brilliant. No, very, very, very valid point, Neha. Very valid point.
I now have a few quick fire round questions. We'll try to keep it fun, insightful. So please, keep it short, keep it crisp. So how long have you seen a position stay vacant just because of culture fit? What's the longest
Six to
period?
8 months. 6 to 8
Six to
months.
eight months? Do teams have luxury to do that? Okay. Um, Biggest red flag in an interview within the first 5 minutes?
Uh, the person is giving polished answers.
Ooh, okay. What do you
And what
mean?
do you mean by polished?
Uh,
My question was also
Uh,
this.
it's like you ask a question and they already know the answer. So you can figure it out within the seconds the answer comes and how structured the answer is.
Okay, okay, okay. Means like you have mugged up the answer,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
Okay, okay, right.
okay. What is more important, potential or past performance?
Potential.
Any
Hmm.
reason why you say that?
It is the potential of the person who will drive his performance. Because of the potential only he is at a what a particular level.
Hmm.
And what is one question you always ask and why?
Oh, the one question that I always ask is, why do you want to join this company? What have you studied about the company?
Wow.
And what does a good answer sound like?
Sometimes they just say, because I need a job. That's the most funniest answer I've got.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Really?
Oh, I know.
Sometimes people are very honest. They say, I need money, I need job, I need to start somewhere. So stupid, silly answers, but they are honest and genuine also.
So
So, how do you
here,
respond to
Neha,
that answer? Sorry.
yeah, so and here I would also like to know, Neha. So being honest is a good way that yes, I'm looking for job, money, or whatever, or we need to do some thorough study about the organization and pop out that answer to the hiring manager. For example, I know your shares, where are you going, what is your vision, like.
So coming back to the start of the session where we started about the values and culture about the company. So most companies have integrity and trust as one of their biggest values in the company's culture and rule book, right?
Mm,
So uh, being honest is always a good sign. And while I agree that okay, you should study and go for an interview, but if you don't know, be honest and authentic that I really don't know and I'm here just because I needed this job. So
mm,
again, it if I were a person who is hiring, I would go by his honesty and trust that okay, he's
Mm,
at least authentic in telling that I've not read through, rather than just mugging up something and just giving fake answers.
right. And I think sometimes that quality itself is important because I feel that such people are eager to then show and bring their whole self to the organization as well, right? They're very malleable. Like you can shape them, you can teach them, they'll bring their best, and that honesty is very important then. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Neha. What is the most surprising feedback you've ever heard from a hiring manager?
Most surprising feedback that I've heard is like the candidate is not fitting for the role, but I would still like to go ahead because the candidate has good attitude.
That's great.
I need this person. Someone says I need this person. I'm like, what? If the person doesn't know, why do you need that person? No, I'll train that person. It's very good attitude.
Okay. And I think final question is one piece of advice you'd give to every job seeker.
One piece of advice is that if you are getting rejected, don't get disappointed or disheartened. There is something which is not because of you. There could be many reasons for rejection. So just don't be disappointed, disheartened. Prepare hard, understand what you can improve further. Rather than saying what went wrong, what you could have done better or what can you improve better. So prepare
Hmm.
on that. That's the only advice I would like to give.
Thank you, Neha. I think that hit straight through my heart. Every time we put an application to get hired, I think there's a lot of hopes that go into it, and
Yeah.
it's not really easy with the competition that is coming around now. So yeah, thank you. I think it's very important for people to hear that and to realize that there's something more waiting for them.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, Neha, today's podcast, I'm sure, even if it is able to help one person who's preparing for the interview, that would be really nice. And, even on the other side, if a person is, being a hiring manager and taking an interview, this podcast will actually, give them some insights that what is happening on both the sides, both the sides, they are actually humans who are dealing with each other, but the positioning is different, and that's interesting, Neha. That's so nice of you to come and share your thoughts here. Yeah, Krati, over to you.
Um, I would also like to say thank you, Neha, for taking out the time. And like I said previously, lots of value nuggets, lots for me to learn this Saturday morning. So thank you for taking out the time.
Thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast. Thank you so much.
I just want to say to our viewers that if you did like this podcast and you think that it can help anybody, please share the podcast with somebody you know and drop us in comments any further questions you have for Neha or for us, and we'd be happy to address them. Please like and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, thank you.
Kabir, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.